people here speak about alternatives, what they say is they don't actually want donations. They would rather the occupation end and an end to the siege on Gaza, and then they could make enough money that they wouldn't need these international donations. And just one point, a report was released by the Palestinian Authority over the last week that found if the occupation ended, Palestinians could actually earn an extra $7 billion, and if the siege on Gaza was lifted, it's close to $2 billion.
Okay, thank you very much, Nicole Johnston, live for us in Gaza. The British government is under fire from community leaders over its handling of the outbreak of rioting, arson and looting in London back in August. It's an issue expected to be addressed by the Interior Minister at the ruling Conservative Party's annual conference in Manchester, which is into its third day now. Laurence Lee is there for us. Laurence.
Yes, it is Riots Day for the Conservatives here in Manchester. The Mayor of London, in fact, has just given a speech in which he said he wants to set up no fewer than 25 boot camps in schools across the capital from next year, in his view, to try to rein in the excesses of what have become known as the feral underclass in this society. Of course, that kind of thing goes down very well with an audience at a place like this, but it's likely to go down much less well in places like Peckham in South London, which saw some of the worst of the riots over the summer months. There we found young people who say the politicians in this country simply don't understand what their lives are like, and they're warning that there could be more riots in the future. If you didn't know there'd been a riot here, nothing other than a few shops still boarded up would give you a clue. But just over the main road are the housing estates, which, according to the young people who live here, stifle every last ambition. Other than a couple of tiny outside spaces, there's nothing to do and nobody has any money. Opinions are given with fear.
Something like this was going to happen because obviously people are frustrated because of obviously the government, like they're cutting everything and stuff like that, so like they had to stand up for what they believe in.
Yet despite its reputation in Britain, Peckham is a close-knit place where people are used to making the best of their situation. After the riots, a piece of chipboard covering a smashed window became an impromptu peace wall with messages from anybody with an opinion. That sense of community gave local activists hope and an idea. This woman looked at the peace wall and thought of the cooperation between activists in Cairo during the Egyptian revolution.
And we have everywhere the same thing about people wanting to live peacefully with their neighbours, just to get on with their lives, have their children, have their educations and do the work that they like. And we need peace and order for that. But we all, as citizens, have a huge contribution to make to that. And at the way the world's organised at the moment, it doesn't really cater for it.
There's a bleak logic behind this view, that in London as much as Cairo, governments aren't interested in understanding the anger of the voiceless, and so it has to fall on local people to create their own history. Which is where people like Ben come into the picture. A former gang member turned youth worker, he seems to know nearly everybody. It'll fall to him to try to deal with rioters who are now in jail when they come out, and it's not going to be easy.
Unless the government make a change, do something to make a change, then I personally believe that it can all happen again, because we're still in the same predicament. Nothing's changed. They're not helping us. You're putting people in jail for 6 months for whatever, for stealing a bottle of water. Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. But when they come out, or when whatever they have to do, so we're back to square one, and the mentality and the mindset hasn't changed.
It's also obvious that really simple things make for happy, well-adjusted young people. More places like the youth club where Ben works would surely mean less trouble.
On Mondays I've got like a DJ kind of session. Yeah. On Tuesdays I've got dance. On Wednesday I've got football. On Thursday I've got dance again. And on Friday I've got a football session near my nan's house at Damilo Play Centre. And on Saturdays I've got another football club. And then on Sunday there might be tournaments for football matches in Peckham Rye or somewhere else. So I've really got a tight schedule.
But for all the good intentions of patient and kind people, it's a huge challenge. The overwhelming view from Peckham is that the riots were a wake-up call, but the government has pressed the snooze button. Now, clearly it's one thing what disenfranchised youth in somewhere like Peckham might think, something else for a well-respected community leader to try to make a comparison between the Mubarak government in Egypt and the British government in London not being able to do anything and not caring about the anger on the streets. Clearly it shows, apart from anything else, quite how low the politicians are in terms of the public estimation in this country. It also seems to imply to me that whatever the Mayor of London might say about boot camps, people in places like Peckham really aren't listening anymore.
All right, Laurence Lee at the Conservative Party's annual conference in Manchester. Thank you very much, Laurence. Police in Mexico City have made a grisly discovery, finding 2 severed heads on a street in the capital. The heads were found on a busy ring road near the city's main military base. Investigators say that a note left at the scene suggests that the killings were carried out by the drug gang Mano con Ojos, or Hand with Eyes. Decapitations have long been used by drug gangs to intimidate rivals, but it's rare in Mexico City itself. 1 year ago, a small Hungarian town was swamped by toxic sludge. It happened when the wall of a waste reservoir burst, sending a torrent of caustic red mud into the town of Kolantar. 10 people were killed at the time, and the environment was